we're in the studio. We're in our very fancy studio in a helicopter over Manhattan, and today we have our guest Myq Kaplan. Thank you very much for being here, Myq.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Welcome to You Got, the podcast about scams mostly, and other things related to scams.
Whoa, I didn't know that that's what it was about.
Really?
You got me.
Yeah, that's right.
There we go.
Yeah.
We tricked you.
No, we were saying we rob every guest
Oh
after, and it never gets released. Actually,
No, it's a scam podcast, and we're like, hey,
this camera's not on.
Yeah, bring a story, Myq, and then we're like, Myq, we have to confront you. You have a serious substance abuse problem.
Well, here's the thing: is that what if I don't have any scam stories, and I scammed you into thinking that I do have a scam story, but now I've scammed you into thinking that I don't have one, but maybe I do.
Right.
That happened to us once. We beat that guy up.
Yeah.
It's like,
You know all these comedians who died of COVID?
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know all of them, but I know some.
Yeah. They didn't have any scam stories.
Yeah.
It's the number one cause of death during the pandemic was not having a good scam story. If you don't have, some guests.
I got something.
The bigger thing is people who think they have a scam story and they do not.
Yeah.
Well, that might be me then. That might be me.
Someone's like, oh man, I have a crazy scam story. I was gonna make
One time I crossed the street, the light was red. We're like, that's not a scam story. That's
exactly.
That's what they want you to think.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear the story that I have prepared?
We can start with that and then take it into other things. Yeah.
Yeah, this will be the opener. I mean, whatever yours is can be the headliner.
Wow, that's so insulting. It's like, yeah, sure, I'm here as a guest, but yeah.
No. I mean,
you think you can close this out?
I sincerely, I have no specific skin in the game of whether this is the bet. Because I've not listened to all of your podcasts, I don't know.
By all you mean any?
I've not listened to all of them.
That's a very polite way of that is technically logically correct.
Yeah, so who knows what kind of scams that have been introduced on this show? I'm here, but a humble presenter of this story that so years ago. It's one that I am the scammer in this story.
Oh, that's great.
It's great.
And so do you guys remember the show Homicide: Life on the Street?
Yes.
I don't. What's the show about?
It's about a homicide unit. They in Baltimore. It's actually created by the guy who made The Wire.
Yeah,
right.
It was his first show, really, I think.
And David Simon wrote a book called Homicide, I think, Life on These Killing Streets, or a year on the life on the killing streets. And he was embedded, I think, with the ball. This is I'm making the story. The setup to the story is like much more dramatic than the actual story, but
it doesn't matter. It's great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I just want to maintain sort of expectations.
Yeah.
So David Simon.
So he goes undercover. He plays 3-card Monty.
Yeah.
He's like, I really need to understand my characters. He just becomes a drug dealer.
Yeah, I think he just rides along with the homicide detectives for a year. Then creates writes a book, and they create a show, and it's great. Andre Braugher, who you may know from Brooklyn Nine-Nine,
of course,
as Captain Holt.
Of course,
he plays Pembleton, Detective Frank Pembleton, and won, I think, a couple Emmys for that. It's a fantastic show, Homicide.
Yeah.
But if you've seen The Wire,
and then he plays a cop in this comedy.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So
he gets it.
Yeah, he's just but he was not an actual cop.
Correct.
He's just
a good
typecast
actor.
as cop. Yeah.
I think he played an angel in City of Angels as well, so he's got some range.
Right.
But
nice.
Dead cop.
Probably
a cop angel. They're drawing chalk outlines with wings.
Love it.
Yeah.
So the show Homicide, I loved it. I watched it maybe not the whole time it was on, but eventually when the DVDs came out, like I've seen all of it at least a couple times.
Yeah.
And I bought the DVDs when they first started coming out, and I feel it was like $100 for like a box set, and there were like maybe 7 seasons worth of box sets.
That was a ripoff back in the day.
It was a lot.
Anything that you wanted. I remember, I don't know if you ever got
this.
It was
a box set.
I got a Christmas present once that was the Mr. Bean box set, but it was VHS. So
no.
It was like this big because it was 8 tapes.
It's like a wall.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So ultimately, this is like the meta scam is capitalism.
Right.
That's what this all is about.
That's often at the,
Sopranos
at,
box
at
set
the
was
root
like
of everything.
Sopranos box set was like $250 or something like that.
Really?
It was ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. So yeah, if you get one, it's so weird because today also, like, if you are watching like a movie, if you have Disney Plus and you want to see a new movie, like the new Black Widow comes out, and if you want to watch it on your thing, you have to pay $30, which is, if your whole family's watching, that is cheaper than taking
Going
your
to
whole
the movies,
family
yeah.
to the movies. But still, like, I rarely pay $30 for a movie.
Yeah.
So it's such a strange phenomenon that's going on. So this is a time when I was like, I want Homicide. I want to be able to see Homicide. There's nowhere to see it online. It's just, I had to
What
get the
year
DVDs.
was this?
It must have been in the early 2000s, is my guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Early 2000s. I think the show was on through the 90s.
Yeah.
And so I think it must have been the early 2000s that they started releasing the box sets one by one. And at a certain point, so I bought the first one. I think it was seasons 1 and 2 together.
Yeah.
And then I saw that they started having like bundled sets. You could get, it wasn't just like a whole thing of the whole thing. It was like you get 4 boxes, like see the first one, the second one, third one, fourth one, that you could buy all separately. And that was like,
What do you mean you could mix and match?
What I mean is, like, if you wait for a show to be over, like the Sopranos box set is like, they're like $250 and you just get one box with all of the Sopranos in it.
Right.
You don't get one box for each season of the Sopranos.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but this is one box for each season, essentially, of Homicide. So, like, I already have the first one that I bought.
Right.
But then I bought, like 1 through 4 or 1 through 5 or whatever it is for like $200.
Yeah.
But then I have an extra one.
Yeah.
But each one by itself is like $100. So you do save money by buying like multiples. So instead of paying like $400 for 4, I paid $200 for 4. But now I have one that by itself costs $100.
Yeah.
And at the time when I was getting them on Amazon and Borders, I don't know if Borders still exists, but when it did, Borders.com.
It's now a wall.
I know. I think they were bought out by Dickies or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, Borders.
So-
I was like Barnes and Noble, which also probably there's 3 left.
Yeah. Barnes and Noble's still kicking, but at the time, Borders existed, and Borders.com brought you to Amazon. There was some deal where
they had no idea that how badly they were getting fucked.
Yeah, I know.
and I was part of it. So I
No,
bought.
but like I remember BarnesandNoble.com was also there, right? So maybe that's why they're still around, because they tried to just compete with Amazon. They made their own website. Borders was like, we'll just take the affiliate link
Yes.
fee,
Yeah.
and now they're fucking buried underground. They dug their own grave.
It seems like they did.
Yeah.
So my part of it, my very small part of it, they say in Buddhism, I've been learning about, they say it is not, like the bucket's not filled by the last drop. The bucket's not filled by the first drop. The bucket is filled by each drop. So
That was
here's-
actually about DVD box sets. I think.
In Marxism, we say the bucket was filled by the maid.
So there I was with an extra, like now I just legitimately didn't need 2 copies of the first box, the first season. So I was like, I brought it to Borders and I was like, I bought this like on Amazon, but through Borders.com. Can I return it? And they're like, yeah, we can give you store credit here. You don't even need a receipt.
Yeah.
So they gave me store credit in the amount of like the $100 that it would have cost to buy it new at Borders, which is not what I paid for it for cheaper on Amazon. And then I realized that I could keep. There was a differential.
There was a difference in price.
And it wouldn't have paid to just. It was probably like $30 or something that I could make each time. But that wasn't what I did.
How great is it when you find these? By the way, you find these little loopholes, and you're like, oh, I can do this again and again and again.
Well, and here's even more so. What happened is, so I don't know if this is exact numbers, but it was something like if I bought seasons 1 through 4. That would be $200. But if I bought seasons 1 through 5, it was $25 less. There was some glitch in the system that whoever was in charge, they made it so that I started buying just like the first whatever number it was, and just I kept returning them for store credit at different Borders around the Boston area, around Massachusetts where I lived. And just like I didn't want to go to the.
You had the foresight to go to different Borders so they wouldn't detect your pattern.
But there's no credit
This guy-
card.
this
There's no
guy
credit card.
returns-
There's no
yeah.
record. You just thought the guy would remember your face.
Either they'd remember me. Also, sometimes they would make me like sign, like fill out a thing and say this is my name and this is my signature. But I don't think I was doing anything illegal. Like I was not disobeying the law. They're like, you can buy a thing and you can return a
He's like,
thing.
man, this guy loves returning box sets, man. He comes in 5 times a day.
Right.
And I just kept getting that store credit. So I think I only did it probably like 5 times, but I think each time I did it, I made like $200, and so I got $1,000 in store credit.
Wait. How do you make $200 every time?
Because you just keep on buying them and returning them.
Because each time it costs $200 to get 4 boxes.
Yeah.
So, and that each of those boxes is worth $100 in store credit. So I spent
each individual box.
Correct.
Oh, so right? They had a bundle deal, and then you would return them individually.
That's correct.
And turn it over. Oh, wow, that's very good.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seemed it was right there, and I was like, I did feel like I'm like, this isn't in the spirit of the law. Like, this isn't what was intended, but it does seem like I feel like I did not break the letter of the law.
No, you did nothing wrong.
Thanks.
Well,
in fact,
we'll see about that. We got a copier today. It's the border security guard. He's like, I remember you from 20 years ago, kid.
And
300 pounds with
David
like a
Simon
latte.
is making a new show based on it.
Yeah.
David Simon's following around the border security guard. He's riding shotgun.
It's called the border.
Yeah. He also the border is
patrol. Border patrol.
Yes.
Border patrol.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know if this is. I'm just gonna make a joke now. This is gonna be. I want to.
This is great. This is also a comedy podcast primarily.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm glad.
yeah.
Then here's my. Get ready for my joke. It's gonna. I want to
Stop joking around. Stick to the scams, buddy.
Really sorry. Really sorry. Sorry. I thought it was a serious scam thing, but I understand. I'm gonna sneak in.
No, it's
a
mostly
joke.
the scams are a jumping off point. For
Of course.
your personality.
All I wanted to say is that David Simon also, who as he wrote, the award-winning The Wire and Homicide, he also, little known fact, wrote Paul Blart Mall Cop. That's all I wanted
Did
to
he?
say. No, not at all.
No.
That's my. I really tried to present it as a joke. I don't want to lie to people. I don't want to scam people.
How
but
funny would that be?
It would be amazing.
That would be very funny.
There's just like a lot of murders in it.
Yeah.
Remember that part where Paul had to kill his best friend? It was rough.
I never saw that movie. Did you see it?
I did not see Paul
Okay,
Blart
so
Mall
none
Cop.
of us have seen it. All
No,
right.
neither have I.
I know. So let's talk about it. So what do you guys think the plot is?
No. I want to go back to Borders
Okay.
a
Yes.
little bit. So
Border Patrol.
what do you do with? So you have $1,000 at Borders.
But it's store credit. That's why they'll give
but
it to
it's
you.
store credit. But Borders sells everything. So were you
No, they
doing your
don't. No, they
grocery
don't.
shopping?
Oh,
Grocery shopping.
They sell books and CDs.
Well, just to be clear,
magazines.
remember that Borders.com, the store credit they're giving me can be used at Amazon. They're giving me
wow.
Amazon credit.
But this
yes.
was the 2000s when Amazon sold books.
I mean,
and not.
I bought a lot of DVDs. I got all the DVDs that I wouldn't have paid as much for, but now that it was free money, probably I bought every season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
So you used it to be indulgent. You weren't like, let me live off of this.
But
I don't know how I could have lived off of it, but I guess I could have bought groceries.
you could have sold them. What people do is they'll like make gift cards and then sell the gift cards at like $100 gift card for $70. So this is a good deal. But you didn't actually do anything. Like you paid for 5-box DVD sets, you returned 5-box DVD sets, and then you got another 5-box DVD sets. So at the end of the day, you maybe got a discount because of inconsistencies in the way they've decided to price them if you buy them as bundles or individually. Yeah, but you didn't.
Well, just to be clear, also, again, there was some error in their system whereby, like, I was getting 5 for less than the price of 4, both bundles.
But was that an error, or they're trying to upsell you somehow?
I mean, but if they're trying to upsell, they're trying to be like, "Will you
understand.
please buy 4 instead of 5 because it costs more?"
But that happens all the time, when they're like, it's like, well, if you get the bigger one, it's somehow 30% less than the smaller one. That happens at the grocery store and shit.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I don't know what their intention was, but
Yeah.
I'm not claiming to be any great criminal mastermind here. I'm just claiming that I came away with $1,000 worth of DVDs that I didn't that I didn't earn.
Here's what you do. You got to sell them on the street now. That's what, along with incense.
Yeah.
I mean, the joke is kind of on me in that now, like, it's like DVDs. Like, I go on the road and
Just
sell
a bunch of guys from the Ivory Coast and you.
Yeah.
Like, you guys got the Borders scam too? Yeah.
I mean, I sell like physical CDs of my comedy on the road, and every once in a while, people are like, "What am I even supposed to do with this?" And I'm like, "Well, get a car that can play it. Like, that's the only."
Yeah.
I have a thing that you can plug into my Mac that it's like a super drive that you can put DVDs in. But I've rarely, of all the DVDs that I gained, I also got a ton of VHS tapes over the years as well. And so my riches, I'm like a dragon sitting on a bunch of like recyclable things.
After your shows, you should just set up a garage sale. just like right after the show, instead of like merch, but also like old DVDs and stuff you don't want anymore.
Do you know what I just realized is on the way, I meant to bring gifts for you next time. Because I
Can
have.
we ask what they were?
Yeah, they were
gonna
going to
get
be
us?
bundles of comic books.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
I don't know if you're comic book folks.
a box of shit. Like,
I mean,
what?
I have. Here's the thing: is I have in my home right now a box of like sets of comic books that used to be in my car, but my girlfriend and I went on a trip a couple weeks ago, and so we emptied out the car and put the stuff in our home. And now I'm like, well, am I going to read these comic books? When am I going to read these comic books? I'd like to give these away as a gift. They're perfectly good. Like if you like them, then you'll enjoy them.
What?
I kind of felt like you were trying to. It's like easier than recycling.
Yeah.
It's definitely easier than
yeah,
recycling.
yeah.
It's just.
But it
And
sounds
it's
like a scam that you were like coming. You
I meant to.
walk away feeling like we owe you a gift.
I'm not doing it to get any gifts. But here's the thing.
No, it's because if you recycle them, nobody gets to enjoy them as comic books.
That's true.
Right? Their function changes. So you can extend their life as comic books.
But they're recycled into better comic books.
That could be.
You don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know. Or a bag.
Or Nazi propaganda.
Yeah,
We're like,
exactly.
damn it.
A couple years ago, I moved. I had a roommate and a bigger apartment, and then I moved into a smaller apartment with a partner. And I had so many in the old apartment room for so many books.
Yeah.
And like I sold a bunch of them at like bookstores, used bookstores. But then there was some that I was like, but I like these books, but I don't. And so like I invited people over, friends over, and I was like, we'll have like the opposite of a housewarming, a house cooling party, I guess.
Yeah.
And I was like, and bring food and then take away books. If any of these books look good, like I don't want people to have books that they think are garbage. Like I want people to. But I've bought things that I would enjoy. I would read, but I'm like, there's too many.
Yeah.
And so, I would actually also, I had a show at QED, a monthly show that for the few months, like leading up to when I moved, I would just bring a box of books.
Yeah.
And I was like, before your next comedian, would anyone like this copy of The Power of Now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's a nice, I like the idea. I don't know if this is, I feel like it's scam related. I feel like scam is like a negative connotation, but like I went to a party.
Not with us.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
great.
Yeah.
I went to I was years ago in LA, I was hanging out with a friend and she was like, there's some friends of mine are having like a BYOB, like, outdoor
Bring your own book?
kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
They set up essentially like people like bring books that you don't want. And then in their backyard, they just set up like a bookstore. They're like put, biographies over here and sci-fi over here and graphic novels over here. Bring whatever you want and take whatever you want. Bring food, bring drinks, bring books, take food, take drinks, take books. And I was like, this is great. Like, it is sort of like a scam on capitalism. It's like, look, we don't, the barter system, like ultimately money is only a thing that like stands in for like the work that you do, the services, the goods and things. Like if you're like, look, I will, if a plumber's like, I'll fix your sink and you give me a tomato, like this was like almost that.
That plumber got ripped off.
Yeah. I mean, give me multiple tomatoes. I don't know how many
Fucking
tomatoes you
kidding
gotta
me?
do.
A tomato
He's
for
just
fixing a
covered
sink?
in shit. He's like, I'll take my tomato now.
Thanks for the tomato. I'm glad I'm covered in fertilizer.
Well, at least now the sink is fixed and I can wash off myself and the tomatoes. So
Yeah, so that's fair.
maybe a box of tomatoes. I don't know what the going rate is between a clean sink and
See,
a
this is why you
tomato.
need money, because who knows what the plumber box of tomato rate is. You gonna do a tomato estimate?
That's a fair point. I don't
You
know
walk
the
in like, this is
answer.
pretty bad. It's gonna be like at least 2 boxes of tomatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the point is, if somebody wanted, if there's somebody else who's like, the one person's trash is another's treasure. I'm like, some people are giving away this book that I want, and I'm giving away this book that other people
Yeah,
want.
but I mean that works if there's books that you both want.
Yeah, exactly.
But sometimes it doesn't work.
Oh, that's what I want.
Have you ever been in someone's house and you see the
thing
books,
is
the
that
books
it's-
they're
it-
reading, and you're like, this is a fucking nightmare. I can't believe. Whenever I see like color coded books, I'm like, this person's life is in shambles. It's like, these are my greens and these are my blues. It's like, have you fucking opened these? And then it's all like self help, obviously, right? Page 1 is color code your books, right?
How do you organize your books?
Oh, I used to have a lot of books, and we both we met in Berlin when we were doing comedy out in Germany, and then we moved here a couple of years ago. And after leaving my apartment, which was big, especially by New York standards in Berlin, and I had a bunch of books, I decided I don't want to have books anymore. So I sold the ones I could. I gave away the ones that I could.
And you burnt the rest, I remember.
Oh yeah. I burnt the religious text.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right,
yeah.
And then after that, I decided I don't want to buy books anymore. So I just don't. I have a a reading device.
Oh, okay. A non-discriminate, just
Every fucking thing that you own is advertising for a corporation. You cannot do it. But anyways, I have a
you have an e-reader.
Yeah, I have an e-reader that I read on, and I'll buy like sheet music, and books, like the real book and stuff like that. But that's pretty much it for the most part. So I try not to own. Yeah, I don't want to have stuff.
And I can't read.
Yeah,
Not even an issue, really.
Dan.
I'm more of a Braille guy.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the book Goodbye Things? You probably don't need it. You're already living it. But it's a book about minimalism that my girlfriend likes a lot.
Yeah. Nice.
It's good stuff.
That's great.
Yeah.
Did you not buy it for her for her birthday?
I didn't.
Get it?
I do.
You got it for an abortion.
I know what you. I know
Yeah.
what you. I know what you always never wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Does she want kids?
She doesn't.
Wow, that's convenient.
Yeah, we're both.
What an intrusive question. Right? Yeah.
No, because goodbye things.
Yeah.
A kid is a thing.
I mean,
Was that intrusive? Did you feel
That's actually the name
intruded
of a
upon?
book that I read. Yeah. A kid is a thing.
Here's the thing. I don't understand. If somebody asks you a question, you don't have to answer it, right? Like, do people not? I guess people are more polite than me. If somebody asks me something I don't want to say, I'll just say no.
Oh, you
Yeah,
just sit
I'm
there
not
in
going to fucking
silence?
answer that.
Yeah.
Next question.
well,
Make
I
them feel bad.
I have a lot to say about all of this. Number one, I think that there are questions that could be asked
Yeah.
that are intrusive. Like it's sort of the spirit. I don't think that that's what happened here.
Right.
What you said is a totally fine question. I don't know if
like there's like gotchas if you bring someone on like, hey, we're going to talk about this fun thing, and then you ask them like maybe
Yeah.
a pointed question about
Exactly.
controversial
their
about
tragic
something. Yeah.
past.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
But or like the equivalent of it used to be. I mean, it's no longer legal for a lawyer to say something like, "Do you still beat your wife?" like that used to be a question.
Up
that
to when?
I don't remember. I don't know the
Too many cops were arrested.
The history.
They're like, this is really dwindling our police force.
But like if in court, if they're like, answer the question,
Yeah.
do you still like, or have you stopped? I think
Yeah.
that's the thing. Have you stopped
Yeah.
beating? And you're like, well, no, because
it implies
I never.
either answer
yeah.
implies that you did it at some point.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So now what? You have to ask, have you ever beaten your wife?
I mean, if you want to know if they ever have, then yes, you have to ask.
Yeah.
You have to establish that first.
Yeah.
Like,
So
did you put
but
the
then-
body? Did you put the bodies in the reservoir?
Yeah.
You got to be like, there's no. Yeah. Then where are they? Yeah.
Do you still eat your cum, Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously. But yeah, so your question
I'm
to
like,
me.
why is there a thing? I'm like, I even get it as a thing. I'm like, thank you. Thanks for calling that out.
There's
man.
something about Dan.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was for you.
Oh,
It's a gift that
thanks.
I brought
Yeah.
in lieu of comic books.
Right.
But I don't know that I understand your analogy comedically that not wanting to have as many things around. If you have a child, then that is another thing, and then that adds many more things
brings
as well.
a lot of
No,
things.
that's a thing that loves things.
Yeah, exactly.
A thing love it. I have
My kid's gonna be a minimalist.
I have a friend. Yeah, it's so minimalist that it doesn't even exist. Yeah,
exactly.
The ultimate minimalist.
Yeah.
I have a friend who I hadn't heard from in months, and I think maybe wrote to them in the spring. A woman who lives in another country across the world, and so we don't see each other or talk that frequently. But in the spring, I was like, hey, happy spring, and there was like I'd read something about like planting seeds and some metaphorical thing, and she was like wrote back to me just in the past couple of days and was like, hey, actually a year ago, IVF planted some seeds in me, and look, here's some pictures. Now she has twins, and they were wearing costumes from The Cat in the Hat. They were dressed as Thing 1 and Thing 2.
Yeah.
So little
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
IVF, in vitro fertilization.
That's the one.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else did you think it stood for?
I don't know, just a guy's name.
Yeah.
Isaac von Fuckingberg. 'Cause he fucked her. And they're like, wow, you really live up to your name.
I mean, that's why.
Or Ivana Fuck.
Man,
He's from
Yeah.
Fuckendorf.
this
Yeah.
is a comedy podcast.
Unfortunately.
I mean,
I'm so sorry, guys.
that would. I mean, I really.
We're
like
really killing it as a funny scams podcast and dropping the ball as a comedy podcast.
you. I mean, if you thought that it was gonna be one, then it's the other, and if you thought it was gonna be other, then it's the one.
Either way, you'll be disappointed. Don't worry about it.
Comedy scams. Damn.
We guarantee your disappointment unless that's what you're expecting.
That was the name of the podcast. We
Yeah.
guarantee your disappointment.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
That's a funny. That's like a Zen koan right there.
Yeah.
We guarantee your disappointment because if
Yeah.
people aren't disappointed, then they're going to be disappointed in not having the disappointment.
Right, exactly.
It's
I don't know.
beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah.
it'll build up a listener.
Oh no,
following
that's
or-
not
yeah.
certainly not.
Yeah.
But
Of my other podcast, the sound of one hand clapping for an hour.
how about the sound of no hands clapping?
Oh yeah, that's called my set.
Yeah.
The sound of 50 mouths booing.
If you're getting booed in the forest by a crowd.
Yeah, exactly. should you get a real job?
If you get a real job, yeah. Meanwhile, that's our fucking. That's basically what we do now. Actually,
That's what
now that I
Parks
think about
is.
it. Yeah,
fucking Park
I was
shows,
like, wait a
Jesus
second,
Christ.
I bombed at the park 2 days ago.
Yeah. It's weird because we'll have shows and there's 40 people, and afterwards they'll be like, "That was great," and then you're just fucking like, if you don't have like 100 people, it might as well be 0 people. Like 40 people is worse than 0 people.
And at an we're talking about an outside show.
It'll
right
spread
now.
out at,
Oh,
like
sure.
at a park
Yeah.
when
Well,
you're like, "What the fuck?"
Now we're
Yeah.
into the heat paradox again.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's 100. That's
Yeah.
100 is a crowd.
I think
Yeah.
you need like 60 people, or if they're, I don't know. It's different. Some crowds are good, some crowds suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes it's about quality more than quantity, you say.
I didn't say that.
No, it seems like you're saying that. That's what it sounds like to me.
No, I'm saying some are good and some are bad.
Fair enough.
And it doesn't have to do with the number. But I wasn't talking about quality or quantity. I'm not some nerd.
Oh, fair enough. I get you.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it's the size of the crowd. I think
Yeah.
it's the motion of the crowd.
Wait a second.
I think it's if you put a ring around the crowd so it feels like a bigger crowd.
Hold on.
You know, a ring that vibrates that you get at the bodega.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, "Another one of these?"
Yeah.
And you go,
I like that part of this bit, I think, is that your character, you're like, I'm not a nerd who talks about quality and quantity.
"Yeah, I'm a
that's-
guy who
yeah.
fucks with bodega cock rings."
Yeah.
But I have a small dick. Yeah. So I'm willing to admit that I have a small dick.
I
but,
still think we're talking about crowds.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it.
You
Yeah.
know, yeah. Sorry, my crowd is uncircumcised.
Yeah.
That's very European of me.
And hopefully more and more here, because circumcision is something that you don't have to do. It is.
Really?
I mean,
Can I ask your opinion on it? Well, you're
yeah,
Jewish, so
100%.
I can guess.
You can. I mean, maybe you
100%
can't guess.
circumcise it all. Don't stop at the tip. 100%.
Now, this seems like
I get rid of everything but the tip.
yeah, I'm only the tip.
It's
I'm
just a
only
flap.
foreskin.
Yeah, it's just a flap of foreskin.
You
where
pull
that
it
is.
out and there's nothing.
Oh yeah.
It's
So I do talk
just like
about
a
it.
black hole. It sucks you in
Oh yeah. That,
to another dimension.
I like
another
that.
dimension.
Open the foreskin and you just see your biggest fear. You just have to confront yourself.
Now,
Yeah.
my sincere answer is that I, and this is also a thing that I say sincerely as a joke. I am circumcised, but I was like, that's,
Whoa! What if we had a sound effect?
yeah,
Circumcised.
boing. But I wouldn't do it again, I guess
yeah.
is what I'm saying. And
I wish I wish I'd been
wouldn't
given
recommend it. Yeah.
I wish I'd been given the choice because apparently you lose a lot of sensation.
Yeah.
And not even that, you know, it's part of your body.
Right.
That, it
Oh,
definitely.
I still have mine.
It hurts
Yeah.
when it. I understand. I believe like babies. They're not like thank you. You know,
Yeah.
they're like
Yeah.
it feels pretty good.
Actually, I was. Yeah.
were you? Oh,
Yeah.
I can't speak for everybody, but
I was 3 days old. I was a young Jewish baby. I was like, bring that shit on. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I was talking
And
already.
He was so Jewish. He was happy to be circumcised.
in that situation, I think it should
And
be
then he
consensual.
I
think
believe
he
right
complained
after
about
that, I
the-
had my first words and was, "Is that all you got, motherfucker?"
It's
Yeah,
up
yeah.
to the
It's
baby.
cold in
Yeah.
Who's next? That's what I said.
I like it.
It's up. It should be the baby's choice. Well, that's the thing is you can circumcise babies because what are they going to do? Cry? That's all they fucking do anyway. You know,
Yeah.
no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Mike. Cool. Thanks
No,
for
no,
being here.
No. But you're in the middle of the opinion of you should be able to choose or
Yeah,
not.
you
or-
shouldn't be circumcised as a child. I think that's what you're saying.
Oh yeah, I'd say I'm anti-circumcision.
Yeah.
All right.
That
Nice.
is my.
You're gonna have to
yeah.
leave.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
fair enough.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear? This is a.
We're not going to give you the gift we had planned.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fair. I don't need.
A
anything.
circumcision.
Yeah.
Moyle, get out
Thank
here.
you.
A second circumcision.
This is how we end every show.
There's a joke I've told about a time when I was hired to do a clean comedy show for Orthodox Jews. They were
Yeah.
like, but they wanted to have as much Jewish material as possible, but as clean as possible. And I was like, well, sincerely, I was talking to the booker. I was like, I have a joke about circumcision, but is that something that they would want because it's about Judaism, or that they wouldn't want because it's like about a part of the body that would be considered by the terms of your desire for a clean comedy show unclean? And the guy was like, can you do it without mentioning the penis? And I was like, so you want a circumcision joke? Cut the penis. That's what you want?
Nice. Yeah. But that is funny that's where people draw the line at offensive or not offensive, or when you have rules, like you can.
Well, I think everyone draws lines in different places.
You can sure, but you draw lines at words. Like
Me?
if you don't say penis, one draws lines. We tend to draw lines at that because where else are you going to draw it?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I guess
he's like, say pussy as much as you want. Yeah.
Sincerely, I think that words aren't the things, Words aren't the things that we're talking about.
But in this case, in the example you just cited,
they did have a specific guideline based on the word.
By the way, I mean, you're a clean comic. Why were they even concerned?
I mean, I have jokes about fisting and bestiality and necrophilia and pedophilia.
But you clean up first, right? You do that clean.
Yeah, I mean, I shower. Yeah,
you shower, so it's fine.
I
was making love to my dog.
Yeah, exactly. Elegantly, eloquently.
All the old Jewish women there was like, I like him.
I did when I was on.
I want to introduce you to my daughter.
When I was on the Last Comic Standing tour with Myq Stefano.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. He was a beautiful man and a filthy comedian, and he would go on stage and people sometimes ask him like, why are you saying such like horrendous things, for this hour every night? And he's like, so that for the rest of the day I can be this, peaceful person.
And I just want to be a peaceful guy with AIDS for the rest of the day. That's
he
all
did
I
want to, and he was for many of his days, but he would be filthy, and I would go on. I forget if I would be on like before him or after him when we were on this tour together for like 60 cities, and I would tell at that time I had this like 2-minute joke about fisting, and people would come up to me afterwards and be like, "Thank you for being so clean," like because comparatively to like people are like, or maybe it's just like
bookers
I'm small.
Or audience members.
Audience members.
But how much? But
like
also,
we can only
how much
handle so much AIDS.
How much is it? Like, is it literally just you're just looking at the person, and your first thing that you think is like, when I first look at you, I'm like, oh, he's probably does clean.
That could be.
Yeah, and then you just give them license to go wherever, and you're doing fisting, but they're still looking at you like, what a nice guy.
What a nice young Jewish boy doing a fisting joke.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, I do tend to, like, I have this show that I'm doing now that I just took on tour for 3 weeks, and for one of the weeks I was in an area, actually for 2 of the weeks I was in an area where my girlfriend's family lives, and it's not like, and some of her family are Mormons, and so some of the family like came to some of the shows, and like some of the comedians are dirtier than I am, but also like there's like jokes in the show about masturbation, there's jokes in the show about sex and such topics, like, and so I'm not gonna not do the show as it is, but also when like I'm getting ready to do this dry bar comedy taping, which is a specific clean comedy show. Thank you.
That is Mormon, right? They're based in Utah. They're not officially Mormon.
That's correct.
But all of Utah is like unofficially Mormon, I think.
That's what we say.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure, they part of the the vibe, part of the aesthetic of the taping of the series is that they're like, this is comedy for for babies and grandparents and people all over the world. And so I am like the show that I just did with y'all last night. I am now in the weeks running up to it. I have going back through my the hours of comedy that I've written and be like, what are like the best things that I have ever said that are like by happenstance clean? Like I'm not. I don't just set out to write clean material all the time.
Right.
But like
you're going through your notes, like women be shopping. It's classic. That'll do. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got me.
All right, so you've cobbled together a clean hour.
I'm working on it. Yeah.
Pulling it out of the hours preceding.
Yeah.
Preceding.
That's
now.
so.
Cool. Good.
I'm scamming them.
Nah, no, you're not. You're giving them what they want.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Everything.
I'm just trying to fit into your theme.
Comics, only comics are like, that's an old. I heard that like he's recycling an hour, and other people just don't know, and everyone else doesn't care, doesn't know.
I mean, for sure, like for me personally, like my favorite thing to do is to be working on new things, to be creating and being like some of these things. It's sort of like they're like old costumes that I used to wear, and I'm like, oh, it's fun. Like, oh, it's fun to play with this old toy of mine. And in fact, some of the jokes that like are on an album from 8 years ago or whatever, like I'm now telling them again, and I'm like finding new. It's the only thing now. It's like not frustrating, but I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna like record that again. I mean, like Hedberg did once. Hedberg at a point, he like on his second album, he's like, I have a joke that I told on my first album, but I wrote a new tag for it, and I don't want to rob you of that, so just told a one-liner again.
Certain
and told
comedians, like their comedy has fans like that, where it almost does have like a Freebird or like Play It Again Sam type thing.
Do y'all know Jeff Tate? Jeff Tate's a great comedian who I haven't listened to all of them, but he said I think either last year or in a recent year he put out maybe 1 hour of comedy a month, and not that they're all distinct like 12 different comedy hours, but he's like every time I go on stage it's like a little like a band. Like a band has a different set every night depending on the audience, depending on the set list, depending on the environment. And so, sometimes he gets into them differently, sometimes new riffs come out, whatever it is. And so I'm now like, oh, it's regardless, it's fun in the moment for me to be like, oh, this joke I wrote about Chuck Norris 8 years ago that is done and it's on an album. I'm like, hey, it's still fun to tell people. It's like I'm telling people about the jokes. I'm like, hey, everyone, here's
the joke is no longer the joke. The joke is look at this joke I used to do.
That's how it used to be 40 years ago. Is that like everyone says that's like you had your act and that's all you did, and like it rarely changed, and you just went on the road because you really weren't on TV or like burning material all the time.
And that's what Seinfeld's still essentially doing.
Well, he has 3 hours, right, that he rotates, and then he'll put out a special and burn one of them.
I think I don't know exactly how it works for him, but I remember seeing him talk about it that every year he's like, maybe I have like 15% new, and so it's like shifting, like a Theseus's ship kind of thing,
right?
Where it's like he extracts something, puts in it, and he has like hours and hours
Theseus's
of stuff.
Ship.
Yeah,
okay,
of
we're
course.
jocks.
I understand. I mean, you knew the Mound paradox,
right.
so I
well, because you may get a joke about it.
Okay, well, I'll do a joke about the Theseus ship, and I'll bring you on board.
You want to do that?
I'll bring you on board the Theseus ship. Are you not familiar?
Are you not able to go on board the ship?
Yeah, you can. I mean, anybody can. I mean, Theseus can certainly.
Wait, it was the joke that you would bring us aboard this ship?
Oh, I mean, I guess that's a joke.
I thought that was the joke.
Sure, why not? Yeah, I was gonna riff a new one, but if that does it for you,
do the new one. Let's hear your joke on Theseus's ship.
No, I can't do it. It's I think.
What? Wait, why?
Oh, I mean, because I don't have one. But
all right.
But I'm gonna take what I'm doing right now, this sort of scrambling, and I'm gonna extract some of the scrambles and add in things that make sense, and then we'll have like a brand new thing that's my actual explanation / joke about Theseus' ship, which you clearly do understand and know all about.
Yeah.
You're just thinking of your audience. I get it. You're kind and considerate.
In a way. In a way. I have to tell you, I have a confession for you.
Please.
Well, before we get to this, did you have any other scams, or was that that's what you wanted to bring?
That's the main thing that I wanted to bring. I guess the only other thing like that I was recently the attempted, victim of that I think a lot of people probably got was like somebody sent me an email that's like, look at these. Isn't this, you recognize this? It's from one of your passwords that you've used once in your life, and now have. It was
because they leak like.
Oh, really? So they
had an old password, but what happens is like so most sites are not supposed to save plain text passwords, right? You do a thing called hashing or whatever, but some shitty websites, it's up to everybody how they save their passwords. So if you're lazy, you can just save the text and then match to see when they enter it if it matches, and then those sites will get hacked, and then thousands of passwords will be compromised. And that's why you're not supposed to use the same password on every site.
Okay.
Now that we understand the computer science behind it,
let's
get back to your story.
Yeah, so I got an email that was like, now that we've got your attention, know that we also have, we've hacked your web camera and watched you watching porn. Yeah. And so now...
And not just watching porn, Mike. I've also gotten this email.
Yeah. Doing some stuff.
What were you doing?
Just they're like, we have video of you... engaging in watching porn.
How funny would it be if they
just
actually
send me the video? Just send me the video then, so I can see. Yeah.
Right. I knew that they actually had access when they were like, we have a video of you in a maid's outfit
Yeah.
electrocuting your nipples
they
and
did.
dancing to the Smiths. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh no, they must actually have access.
I got one, and actually they were looking to hire me professionally.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Like, we have videos of you, and you got the goods, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is fun. So, but
Yeah.
at the time, it was the first time I'd heard of it. Since I know that a lot of people are getting it.
When was
So
this?
It was like, it must have been like 3 years ago or something.
All right.
Yeah.
And I remember like freaking out a little bit, and then talking to a friend who was like, he looked it up. He's like, "Oh yeah, that's a scam." And I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
good, that's good." But I know other people who were like, I saw a friend on Facebook who was like, "Hey everyone, if you," because the warning, they're
Yeah.
like, if you don't send us this many Bitcoin, we're gonna send this to everyone in your address book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this guy's like, if you get a video, don't open it, don't look
Yeah,
look at
yeah.
it, please.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so.
It's so cute.
It's less embarrassing to just get a video of a guy jerking off than
No.
a guy being like, don't open any videos that you get
Yeah,
from
so
me
I'm-
that might be me masturbating.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I always say this though. Okay, let's say theoretically this is true, and they have a video of you jerking off, and they send it to everyone you know and
Yeah.
love, and
Yeah.
even in professionally work with professionally. Oh no, you caught me. I masturbate. Like, what's the? It's not like an admission of guilt of something that nobody already didn't know about people.
Might not be able to do that dry bar taping anymore, you know.
Oh, really?
But I know. I'm sure it'd be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as you plug it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there are people who would lose their jobs.
Unless when you masturbate, you're like, I fucking hate dry bar.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm doing a dry bar special.
No, I'm excited when I
Yeah.
masturbate. I'm like, dry bar.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're like, well, actually, this kind of fits.
It's like,
Yeah.
wow, he plugs his dates when he comes. That's
Right. No,
I'll be in Salt Lake City, February 19th.
what was I gonna say?
That's really fun.
Jerking off? Yeah, it's not bad.
No, I mean this jerking off.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, the circle jerk.
Yeah.
Triangle.
Okay, so how long before like you were like did you have like a moment of freaking out? You're like, oh no, busted.
I think that moment, that like afternoon or whatever it was, I was freaked out briefly, and then I called a friend, and he helped me understand immediately.
I always like to picture the Pope getting that email. And
Oh,
he's
that's
like,
fun.
And he's like, Mamma mia, oh no.
You
The
always
Pope.
like it.
Yeah, oh god damn it. They know.
Also, I think this Pope it doesn't
Dear
speak
Pope,
Italian
dear
specifically,
Pope.
but
Yeah, he's Argentinian, right?
Yeah.
so Mamma Mia in Italian, in Argentinian. Yeah.
Mamma Mia is also Spanish.
Oh, is it really?
Pues, yeah. I mean, yeah.
But
It's also
It's not an
Mamma
it's
Mia
not an
in English.
expression.
stereotypical.
He's just an
Spanish
ABBA fan.
people. Yeah.
They love ABBA at the Vatican.
If someone went up to you and went Mamma Mia, you'd be like, I don't understand. What are you saying?
Yeah,
They
yeah,
speak
exactly.
English. Yeah.
Yeah. It's Mamma Mia is almost, it's not Italians who say it. It's Italian Americans, and then it's been popularized by media.
That makes
You know,
sense.
it's
Mamma
like-
Mia.
It's like, forget about it. Yeah.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like you don't go to Sicily and you're like, forget about it. And they're like, of course, our prodigal son.
I have thought about a lot.
That Mamma Mia should be the name of the Italian Telemundo.
Yeah, I like. If nothing else has come out of this, I'm very happy with that. The fact that like
Mamma Mia.
the Italian accent from Italy and the Italian American accent, they're so different. It's so fascinating.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like anything.
Yeah, it is
Well,
like
Italians,
anything.
it
You're right.
sounds-
Never mind.
Ita-
Everything's
Italians
fascinating.
sound beautiful and
No, the Italian accent. Italians from Italy speak English with an extremely annoying accent, and then American Italians speak English with another different but equally annoying accent.
Santiago, are you bilingual?
Yeah. I speak. I grew up speaking Spanish and English, and I speak a couple of other languages. Okay. Yeah.
Is Italian one of them?
No, thankfully, I'm not. Yeah.
thankfully,
I think I
Thank
am.
God I don't know it.
I have found that genetically, like my grandmother speaks Italian, and her parents were from Italy, I think. So I think I do. I am somehow Italian.
his family past is riddled of people who left.
Yeah. Well, we're Latin American, right? So it's like white Latino. It's just a bunch of Europeans who somehow left a bunch of these other countries and then wound up in Colombia, Argentina and Colombia.
I see.
Yeah.
So you're from where the Pope is.
No, my mother was born where the Pope is from.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've never been to Argentina.
Ah.
Yeah.
Have you been to the Vatican?
No, I haven't. I haven't been to Italy. I had a layover at an Italian airport that ended in tragedy.
That's always
Yeah.
what that was 9/11, right?
Yeah. I got drunk. My bad, guys. I tried to tell him. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Yeah. If you look at the video, it's him jumping out right before it hits.
I
with
don't
a
know
little
what's
parachute.
real here anymore,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I'll give you a hint. I didn't cause 9/11.
But was it on 9/11?
Or did he?
Was it at all connected?
No.
Really? Okay.
Because I would have been like 12 or something.
I accept.
You were advanced little kid.
What?
You were advanced
I
little
was
kid.
advanced. Yeah.
Yeah. This kid's really smart. I mean, he could fly a plane into a building.
I mean, when you're 12, you are allowed.
We're putting him into special class. Yeah.
You are allowed to fly when you're 12. On a
Are
plane.
you?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you can be on a plane. Yeah,
as a
yeah.
passenger,
That's
not
right.
as a fucking pilot.
I assume that your layover wasn't as a pilot.
yeah.
Yeah.
That part I knew.
What if that was it? What if 9/11 was just like a kid somehow got in the steering wheel and he was just a bad driver, right? It was like a Doogie Howser thing.
That would've-
but Doogie Howser
he
was
was
a
good at
prodigy.
stuff,
He was
yeah.
good at that.
Yeah.
It was like a kid who thought he was Doogie Howser.
What if every plane that doesn't crash is a Doogie Howser? Yeah.
Right.
Just parents like convincing a pub was like, you understand, he's a genius. He
Yeah.
can do it. Yeah. He's my little boy.
Oh,
I love him.
That's great. Yeah, somebody's like, yeah, he's my little boy. He's a prodigy, and then he goes and does surgery, and like multiple people die.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think it's just like a video game?
Oh, yeah. I watched that show and I never really even thought about, like, I don't know what kind of doctor he was.
Yeah, I never saw the show, but I did see How I Met Your Mother. So-
Gynecologist. I think it was a gynecologist.
Basically the
yeah.
same.
And that's what turned him gay.
He had
Yeah.
little hands. He could get way further in than anyone and be like, you know,
And so, just real quick, you're saying
you're
that
low on ovaries. you know?
because the idea of child actor Neil Patrick
Loveries.
Harris playing a gynecologist that then led him to discover that he was a gay man in his adulthood.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
he played
yeah,
a gynecologist.
yeah.
He realized pussy's overrated.
This is
you
all-
know?
this is all well documented.
And then he went gay.
Yeah.
Because he was a method actor. That's what that people didn't know about Doogie Howser. He was a
Yeah.
method actor as a gynecologist as a child. All right, so what else we got?
Now
on
I
the
don't know
docket?
what's real. Is this real?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this real? Yeah. You
That's
didn't-
my new character.
You didn't see his tell-all documentary?
I didn't.
Gynecologist, child. We got any puns there?
Oh, no. I mean,
Child mycologist.
Doogie Howser VD.
Doogie Howitzer. That's if he turns a plane into a weapon. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Going back to 9/11.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I had it
Yeah,
earlier.
Yeah.
Never seen the time.
Yeah. Never seen the time?
Oh, it never seemed the time.
Oh, right.
To make that.
Doogie Howitzer.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What was I going to say? Oh, you and I have something in common.
What is it?
We studied philosophy.
Oh.
Yeah. But did you do a master's in philosophy?
Couple
did.
philosophers over here.
Yeah, you guys might have been wondering why this show was so
Hey, you guys wanna-
intellectually lofty.
If you guys
this
want to
week.
know, if anyone listening is thinking of studying philosophy, this is where you end up. Right here.
Mike is successful. You're a successful guy.
That's true.
I appreciate it.
Thanks.
I do. I really like.
I can tell from your mug.
When I see, thank you so much. This is my mug.
Yeah.
It's important to hydrate. So I see comedians a lot who are like, you know, my parents screwed me up, my family screwed me up, like I can't do anything else, so that's why I'm a comedian. And that's
Yeah, it's bullshit because it's actually a massive luxury to be a comedian.
Yeah.
it's different for everyone. Like I'm sure there's plenty of people who have been messed up by their families who are and are not comedians.
Yeah.
What if it's just everybody's messed up by
You go
their
to a
family?
prostitute on the street, she's like, man, I should have chosen comic.
Yeah, no, but it's like you fucking go to a lawyer and he's like, you know, my dad was a real asshole. That's why I'm a lawyer. Then you go to a pizza maker and he's like, you know, my dad was a piece of shit. It's like maybe it's dads. Maybe it's just fucking dads suck.
Meanwhile,
And then
you
we
go
all
to
have
Barack.
jobs.
It's like you go to Barack Obama. He's like, yeah, man, wasn't too good between me and my dad.
Yeah,
He's just like, that's how you end up president.
Yeah, he put a lot of fucking pressure on me. You know, I
Yeah.
didn't want to be president. You know,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I would
you
say.
wanted to play basketball or something.
Well, I mean, my understanding is that his father wasn't that large a presence in his
No,
life.
that's what I mean. Yeah.
And so that is how.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
but
he
if
thought,
you go to
he thought
if
if
you go
he
to a
became
comedian,
president,
yeah.
he would fucking his dad would come back,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, but no, I'm saying if you go to a comedian and you're like, why'd you do it? You could be like, well, my father wasn't really present, you know.
Yeah.
But it was like, okay, so
Neither
you could,
was
you could
fucking
also been
Barack's.
president. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. Everybody thinks that there's like some causality between what they do, like their childhood, and then what they wind up doing.
And the thing is that comedians are the only ones that are expressing this out loud as part of their living. You know, like if a plumber is screwed up, then they're not just, you know, they're not broadcasting it to everyone the way that comedians are. So
Yeah, but
that's why people.
that's just because of the nature of the job. It's like
Well, that's
anymore,
what I'm
though.
saying.
plumbers are the only one that resent their dad while they fix pipes.
Well, and what I'm saying is the reason that people believe that comedians are messed up
Yeah. It's
'cause
extra
they
by
say
their
it.
family
They say
is
it,
because
right.
that is like the
Yeah.
availability of
Yeah.
the, yeah.
Meanwhile, there's probably 200 200 plumber podcasts out there right now. That's
Yeah.
like, man, I'm so fucked up because of our background, because of
Yeah.
our dad. Yeah.
200, and that's not a lot. There's billions of
There's
podcasts. so,
billions of plumbers.
Yeah.
Billions of plumber podcasts.
To answer your question, I got a master's degree in linguistics.
Oh, that's right.
After getting a bachelor's in psychology and philosophy.
I see.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Um,
So we're the same.
philosophy.
You and me.
I'm not. Yeah, we're the same.
Yeah.
We're the same. We're equal. We're peers.
Yeah.
I was gonna say philosophy. It was. If you think about it, I'm hesitant to call everything a scam, but it is funny. I just watched Call Me by Your Name. Did you see that movie?
Yeah.
Okay. So the father. It's a family, and then he has like a grad student visiting him in Italy, and then the grad student starts hooking up with the guy's son, and the son is kind of like the main character. Great. But this guy is like, he's like an anthropologist or historian or something. What's it called? The guys who unearth dinosaurs.
Archaeologists?
Archaeologists, right? Because he's getting like artifacts out of the ocean and
Say
stuff
dinosaur
like this.
guys.
Or paleontologist?
Yeah, no, I don't think Maybe, yeah.
I think paleontologist is for dinosaur. Archaeologist is for
Yeah.
like structures.
Right, yeah. Architect, that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, sure.
Architect, geologist.
Yeah.
Paleotech is somebody who builds dinosaurs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Is
think.
that true?
I mean, it would have to be. If an,
What do you
if
mean,
an
like,
archaeologist
linguistically?
unearths buildings, an architect builds buildings, a paleontologist unearths dinosaurs, so a paleotech would build dinosaurs.
Yeah, but is that
No,
an
that's
actual
it's actually a
officially thing?
dinosaur technician.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, you're asking if actually
No.
there is a job where you build dinosaurs? The answer is I don't know.
It's called toddler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes full circle. Anyway, so they're showing this guy's life in Italy, and the kid is supposed to be like a child prodigy. You know, he's transcribing like Bach by ear without a piano.
But also, just
Did
to
you
be
ever
clear,
do that? Nobody does that.
What?
Do people do that?
No, people don't do that, and it's almost like it's not a real skill, and
Yeah.
it's
What do you
it's-
mean?
Well, it's more about the narrative of a genius than
Of
it
course,
is
of
about
course.
than it is about an actual real skill that anyone would actually do.
Right,
you
but
know?
you would never put on headphones and just transcribe a piano etude or something like that.
No.
Right. But could you because all right, so Dan was a composer before
Very cool.
before this happened. Before this podcast happened to him. And you did transcription.
I had to do transcription.
But you would do it with a piano, I'm assuming. You wouldn't just completely do it by ear.
There were times in exams I had to do it by ear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What
And it
instruments do you play?
sucks. I play piano, and I used to play trumpet, but it's been decades, so it would probably take me probably like a couple years to get back.
Okay, I don't need you to
dig the
get back.
muscles.
It's just-
Okay.
yeah.
But here's
No, you're right. I'm going to do it.
Oh,
Good,
fair
good
enough.
advice.
Okay.
In fact, I quit everything
This
right
is
now.
now a
I'm
trumpet podcast.
Yeah, it's a trumpet podcast now.
here's the point.
That's
that
the bugle. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, you fucking
Is a bugle not a kind of a trumpet?
You know what? Wow. You're right.
Is it?
Well, it's a brass instrument, and you can also play that on the trumpet.
Yeah.
And all you wouldn't even have to use the valves or anything.
My parents are music teachers. I played music since I was 4 as well. So,
Really? Did
Nice.
you play a bugle or a trumpet?
I played. My dad taught saxophone, clarinet, and flute, so I played a little bit of saxophone for a little
Yeah.
while.
Do you know how?
So I played cymbal. I
what-
played gong.
What an idiot you need to be to play the bugle is just. I mean, it's just an army instrument. There's no real skill.
It's like
all
the
you
kazoo.
Can it
Yeah.
play like 3 notes or what?
Well, yeah, go. It can only play one spectrum.
Octave.
Yeah, octave.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, not one octave, like one spectrum.
What's a
you know What I
spectrum?
mean? Like it's the reason you're changing the valves in the trumpet is
Yeah.
because you're changing the length of the tubes,
Yeah.
which changes the note, which
Yeah,
changes the
sure.
bass note. And then by overblowing or blowing harder into
Yeah.
it, you get different notes of that
Yeah.
of that spectrum. So let's say you're playing a C, that's the bass note.
Yeah.
If you start blowing hard, it just automatically goes up a fifth, and
Yeah.
that's being done with just your mouth.
Yeah.
You know, that's why the bugle has no valves. So all you have is it's like being stuck on one bass note.
Yeah.
You know, and then all you can have is what is available to you in that spectrum.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it's it's like all the same
Yeah.
notes in the same place.
Right.
If you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has been we're gonna edit that out.
Ima-
Yeah.
Bugle talk.
Yeah, this is bugle
No,
talk.
I really
Bugle
like
Boys.
it.
Why does it always end with bugle talk with us? We try to start with scams,
Yeah.
and it always goes to the bugle.
I like the idea that imagine the comedy equivalent of bugle. Like you have no valves. You just have one joke, and then if
That
you do
is-
it louder, then it becomes a slightly different joke.
Yeah.
That's a lot of comics.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing we tried not to do in this podcast is name name names and burn bridges.
Well, they do say like, oh, there's a little one note, but at least the bugle does have multiple notes you can get there on that spectrum.
It's a little one spectrum. You know?
I like it.
That's a review for your show.
I appreciate it.
Just because you make the autastic joke.
I
All right,
did indeed. It's true.
All right, let's. So what I was gonna say,
Please.
Comedy.
You said philosophy.
Studying philosophy. Call me by your name. Okay, so
Yeah.
then you see this family and you see these academics, and then you see that this is like, on one hand, you're like, okay, this must be a successful professor, but on the other hand, the way that they're living is they have a maid, they have a summer home in Italy. You know, this is like just extremely wealthy people who get to do academia. And then you go to philosophy, you go to college and you start studying shit. And so I was interested in philosophy partially because a lot of my favorite comics like Steve Martin, Woody Allen studied philosophy and all this, even though I think Woody Allen might have dropped out. But anyways.
Of being your favorite as well. Yeah.
No. I'm still a big a Woody stan.
All right.
Yeah.
But then it's weird that you get into this thing where you're studying ethics, you're having long discussions about ethics, right, and morality and what it means to live a good life and all this. On the other hand, most of your professors are probably just very rich people, and they're failing to tell you that this is not a very useful thing to study, and also you might be shooting yourself in the foot in terms of career prospects.
When I was studying composition, I actually had a couple professors that were like actually had that talk.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They were like, this is. They're like, Dan, can you build IKEA furniture?
Yeah.
Like, your music is great.
Yeah. Actually, that's what they had me start doing. That's actually was my minor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it was avant-garde new music. It's you building IKEA furniture.
Yeah.
And people, like the billionaires that are sitting there, their bored wives are like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
So I have two questions, or at least one question, maybe another thing. The idea that, so number one, the first idea is that, so the scam is capitalism. Again, we're back to that.
Sure, but it's weird that it's rich people having like sitting around being like, what does it mean to have a life well lived or something like that.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that. I understand what you're saying. So my question to you is this: when you're like, I don't know if I want to call philosophy a scam.
No, of course it's not a scam. But the
is
academic
not what would you say is like at the other end of the spectrum if this kind of thing
plumbing
is
school, trade school.
I mean,
Yeah.
Hey, you do this, you make a living, you start a company, that's how you do it.
And then for your life, while you're doing that, like, what are the things that bring you joy?
Yeah, I mean, so I think this is like a much bigger question,
Yeah.
right? A lot of people just get, like, I think the average life in America, right, the traditional life is you have a job, and that's to support and build a family, and then your family gives your life joy and meaning.
Yeah, and then you
right?
have a certain
and just living it.
And then your job template is that you do that for a certain amount of years with tiny little breaks, and then those breaks are meant for like actually enriching your life and spending with your family or going on vacation or and then when you retire, then you're taken care of, and now it's your time to do whatever you want.
Oh, sure. I mean, and that is the scam of capitalism as well, enacting itself and be like, oh, eventually later,
Right.
you'll get a thing. But when in fact, I mean, there are also probably plenty of people who are and hopefully do get to think about like not going to college and not studying and paying lots of money to necessarily think like what's the best way to live my life, but like to actually like there's people who are like, let's say for comedians, like you ever meet people who aren't comedians but are so funny and you're like, you could be a comedian, and they're like, but I'm fine, I'm happy being the guy I am, like living the life I do, right? And so they have.
I always think that too, like as a comedian, I'm like in my head, everyone wants to be a comedian. So I was like, oh, dude, you could have done it. He's like, yeah, I didn't want to.
Yeah.
And so like there are people who are like afraid to do it, but there are definitely people who are like, living like sort of actualized, realized lives in a way that they have answered for themselves at least, or they're in the process of answering the questions of philosophy, which is not a scam.
I almost feel like it's almost like if you just live your life, I don't know. There's this question. This is also, again, more philosophy, but it's like, are some people living a more rich life than others?
I mean,
right. And then if you say yes, then is having, interacting with literature, engaging with literature and philosophy, does that enrich your life beyond literally just fucking having kids and watching TV?
Unclear.
Yeah.
I mean, they do every once in a while those studies which show like who are the people who are like, you know, the happiest or the most fulfilled
Yeah.
or, you know, like self-reporting that. And it's not the
not-
richest people in the richest countries.
Yeah.
It's babies everywhere.
Um.
And those are the happiest. What?
Yeah.
good.
I think they're doing it by location. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Babies
joke.
everywhere.
Yeah.
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 It's good. It's a good joke.
Yeah. Okay. I lost where we were.
What philosophy?
Philosophy that we have in common.
All right. So yeah. So you're saying when they do studies of who's happy, yeah, it's probably in places where you can like comfortably work and subsist, and there's a small probably the smallest like income inequality is correlated with happiness, where you don't feel like you're just getting fucked over by life and society. Right?
Yeah, I haven't checked recently, but that sounds fair.
Yeah. Is that a pun?
No.
It sounds fair.
Yeah, no, I think it sounds reasonable. I want to be sincere. Like I feel like I've also heard that there's like, you know, people who work in sort of like sometimes like the conditions that you'd think like, you know, like hospice nurses or something that like have great meaning to what they do. Like, I mean, I feel like it could probably go either way, and I don't have the stats on it, but that having a meaningful life of service is something that gives people, if not happy, like the joy side of happiness, but like the contentment, the satisfaction of a life well lived.
I don't think firefighters go home and like sit down and like, man, what's the point?
But meanwhile, I write.
I mean, what am
fucking
what am I really doing?
But I write software for companies that do nothing, you know, and then I'm like, what the fuck did I do today other than like take a millionaire's money and you know,
well,
to help them fucking.
Isn't it valuable to take a millionaire's money?
Great, but then
for
like,
any reason,
why should you have any qualms from stealing from Borders?
I mean, you know,
he didn't.
Yeah, I wasn't stealing.
Yeah.
I have. It's just a philosophical,
right.
A question of like, when does it become a qualm? You know,
right?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Yeah, because I studied philosophy, I'm aware of the game.
Yeah,
which is just ask a question and then sidestep answering anything.
I mean, also here's if you want to add some ethics to the mix, you know, like companies, their rates, the amount they charge for things, includes often the fact that some people are going to
breakage.
You know, take advantage,
Yeah.
shoplift, steal, what have you. And so, you know, I'm potentially a drop in the bucket of somebody else having to pay a little more than they can afford for a thing at Borders.
I like to think
No,
that even
so
the
you're
guy
a
is
burden
like
on everyone. Your burden gets you know, shared by everyone.
Yeah, but maybe like the CEO of Borders is like, I'm glad we're taking out the insurance now. It was worth the money, you know? Like this was worth the investment. This is why we do it, you know, for people like that. And if it wasn't, then you feel like he'd be losing his money.
Right. So it's almost like you get into a car accident and you're like, thank God, because I paid all that insurance money.
What I half think that now that I have it now that I have insurance, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, I should get sick or do some. I should use this somehow, and if
Right.
not, I'm just paying money. Yeah.
You know, I feel like that's a joke they do on Friends. I think like Joey, when he got insurance from like being an actor, he like started playing like football on fire, like, you know, just wearing a helmet and just running around. It's I mean, it's a real, obviously extreme, like silly thing.
It's like a cheap mentality thing where you're like, well, I paid for insurance, so now I'm gonna fucking start shooting heroin and sharing needles because I gotta fucking use this. It's like,
no, but you go, it's like, this is Geico. We don't cover heroin use in humans.
Meanwhile, the bigger picture is the whole point is to maintain your health. And so if you're already healthy, if you're trying to drop below, so you use the service that helps you maintain your health, you're missing the point.
That's why you got to take away people's insurance. Make them healthier.
On my bank website has like a thing, like, you know, I put money away for retirement, even though I don't know if I'm, you know, what that looks like for me. Like, I want to keep doing what I'm doing, but the idea, like, I was sort of trained with a mindset by my family to be like, you know, if you can save some money and put it in an IRA or what have you. And so when I'm putting money in on this site, it's asking me questions like, when do you think you're going to retire? Like, how much risk are you comfortable with? Like, how long do you think you're going to live? Like, it's like, like, how do I know? Like,
it's like judgmental parent questions.
It's like, I want to know exactly. It would be great.
You put like 80 and they're like, really?
Do you really think you can do this?
You get the red error text and it says, dude, ...
Yeah. Do you feel you've peaked?
And here's the thing is, like, I feel like in my family, like, my grandmother died last year at the age of 91, and like, she had saved enough money to live her last years. Like, she eventually had an aide who was helping her, like, get places and get her things and stuff. And she didn't like run out of money, which is good.
Yeah.
But also, like, the ideal goal would be to like run out of money exactly as you die.
No, that's how poor people think. How rich people think is you want to have an endowment that feeds you, let's say you get 4% interest from like bonds yearly. So if you have $1 million, you get $40,000 in your interest from your bonds every year until you die. And then when you die, there's $1 million and it goes to the next person.
Oh yeah, I understand that. And what I'm saying is that's not what I think is the ideal. I think that
you want to blow it all.
No, I don't want to blow it. I want to say that
you want it to last exactly.
I want to tell you what I want. So what I want is to ideally like have however long I could live healthily, naturally. I also would like to make enough money to, in addition to doing that, be able to, if I made millions of dollars, like not save it for the next generation, because there are people who could use it now.
Right.
Like the way that the rich person model of it is like, oh, I'm going to do it for my family. Great, pass it along. Absolutely. And that's what my family, my family's not like millionaires, but my family has been like saving money and passing it along to the next generation.
Your kids at your funeral is going to be like, yeah, dad was an asshole.
I mean, I don't have kids, so that's, I am my own child here, but also like everyone else in the world is. And so I think about the fact that like any money that I save is like, like I donate to causes, I contribute to things that I care about. I try to help people not get malaria and get jobs and and have clean water and all these things. And then also, it's ethically speaking, there's, the extreme utilitarianism where you should, if you're like, well, if the best for everybody, then I should get down to just the bare minimum of what I need to keep things going.
Sure. Yeah,
that's the extreme, and that's not the way that I'm living. And do you read Peter Singer at all?
Yeah, I'm familiar with Peter Singer.
So there's a book of his called The Life You Can Save, which sort of in the end of it has a sort of tax bracket type hierarchy for like if you make $10 million a year, then you could certainly live on $7 million a year. Right. So give away 30% of your money.
Right.
If you make $1 million a year, you could certainly live on like 900,000.
Sure.
So
the type of person that makes $10 million a year isn't going to look at $7 million and be like, oh, good point. He's going to be like, no, I need that $10 million to make the next $100 million.
I think there are different kinds of people who make $10 million a year.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I mean, I think there are people who are billionaires.
I know a bunch of guys
who are saying like, I'm giving away half my billions in my lifetime.
Who did that? Bill Gates?
I mean,
what?
Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, like some of the famous billionaires.
Yeah.
Does it annoy you that Bezos is going into space?
I don't
like
think
that.
It
You know
doesn't
what I mean?
annoy me.
Like I'm just like, hey, why don't you focus on Earth with all your fucking money? With Bill and Warren, at least they're like trying to cure diseases. He's
I'm big fan of curing diseases.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, sometimes. Here's the thing.
I like some of them.
I got mixed feelings.
I mean, here's the thing: is I can't make Bezos do anything or not do anything, so I try not to be adversely impacted by his actions. But also, the generous side of things, the optimistic side of things is like, penicillin was discovered by accident. Maybe they're going to cure a disease accidentally, like by some space interaction.
You're saying the cure of herpes is in space, and that's why he's going up there in a giant dick.
That's too much. You could say that for anything.
I mean, I'll give me an example and I'll say for it.
I don't know, man. Maybe a school shooting, they'll find a way to cure AIDS.
I don't think that's true.
Of course, but I don't think they're going to cure
what I'm
else
saying is
by
that,
going to space.
All right, everybody, I got good news and bad news. Let's start out with the bad news.
You're saying because it's still scientific research by going into space and
Yes,
it contributes to scientific research.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. No, I mean, I get it, but it's...
I mean, what I'm saying is he's going to it makes more sense for me, I think, to say if a person's going to space, perhaps there are unknown benefits that could be reaped as a result of it, as opposed to your comedic example.
Yeah, I understand that, but it's very generous and optimistic,
I mean, I'm not saying that he's a great guy. We're all I've been reading about Buddhism lately.
Yeah.
And the idea is that every single sentient being is doing their best to increase happiness and decrease suffering, not everybody is not doing it the optimal way.
That's certainly
Yeah.
not true.
No, it's everyone is doing their best.
No,
He's like, no, not me.
I'm sorry. That's
He's like, I am not trying to
that's
do that.
absolutely not true.
Who do you think is not doing their best?
I think there's a lot of people who are not doing.
Do you think that you're doing your best?
their best? I
think you are.
I could do better.
I don't think you could.
I
Up till now, this is the best that you could do.
no.
You can do better later.
No,
You don't know him. He could do better.
What I'm saying is, you were a baby and you had no sense of really free will or agency or consciousness that you could have control over. Would you say that that's
You don't
fair?
know what he was like as a baby.
Well, yeah. We're getting way off track.
Are
there's,
we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, what's the track?
Well, I feel like if I cared about like let's say diminishing suffering in some utilitarian aspect, there's certainly things I could do. Like first of all, podcasting would not be one of them.
Well,
stand up would not be one of them.
Here's the thing. I'm not saying you're trying to diminish everybody's.
Yeah.
You're trying to diminish your own suffering.
Oh,
That's what every sentient being is doing to begin with, is trying to increase happiness and decrease suffering
for themselves,
and then ultimately going out.
But for themselves, that's a key point, because that's a very different thing. Because then, I mean, you could argue that then that's what everybody's doing under capitalism as well, right? And then that ultimately leads to climate collapse and everything that's coming, right?
Well, I think that
ecological collapse.
If we're talking about in the Buddhist model, in the Buddhist paradigm, which I am not an expert in by any means, like when ultimately,
I got news for you. Start
He's
levitating.
just floating.
Oh, that'd be really something. I'd be happy to learn from you.
So that's the end of the podcast, everybody.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I do think when we all do reach, omniscient Buddha level enlightenment, then there will be no more podcasts, because we'll have it all. But until then, we do still podcasts still exist to help people increase happiness and decrease suffering. And I'm saying ultimately, it's not just, Buddhists. The goal is like for a bodhisattva is somebody who's like, I want to become enlightened on behalf of everybody else. I want to be able to help everyone else also increase happiness and decrease suffering.
I don't think that's what Bezos is doing.
What I'm saying is that everyone started as a baby.
Yeah.
And as a baby, like whatever happened to you is like beyond your control. Everything that happens to you up until a certain point is beyond your control. And ultimately, everything is beyond your control, because everything can be traced back to the beginning when things were beyond your control. When do things start becoming within your control?
I understand. This is determinism. This is just everything is a reaction to something that came before it, and ultimately it started with things that were out of your control.
We always start with scams. We always end with there's no free will.
Everyone's doing their best.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing their best possible.
I don't know. Define best. What? Their best to fucking make their own life better? I don't know if that's a good standard to measure things by.
I mean, I'm not measuring anything.
Okay. What else? Do you have anything else?
No.
Did you have anything else? I brought a couple of things, but
Please.
I don't know how much time you have, number one, but I don't know
I had a little bit.
these are just things I found throughout the week. So that New York Times article, actually, can you pull that up?
Yeah, I can. The article is entitled, "It Felt Like Deception. An elite NYC hospital charges huge virus test fees."
Right. So I haven't read the article, and it's on your phone. I don't know how much we actually want to look into this, but apparently, from what I saw, is they're charging $3,000 for the COVID nasal swab, so 30 times the typical price. And
how much is it? Aren't they giving them for free some places?
Well,
Yeah.
it's free to the person everywhere, but your insurance or the government is picking up the check. And then this hospital just decided, Lenox Hill, one of the city's oldest and best known hospitals, is charging 30 times the amount of other hospitals. And
I mean, they're just doing their best.
Yeah, that is,
a family accrued
to improve
$39,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people are like constantly getting. So I found this on Reddit, but people are like constantly getting these like $3,000 or $5,000 bills for a COVID test and then having to contest them. But it's insane that you can just do that apparently, and that it's mostly insurance companies who are just paying it because apparently you can just set your prices.
There are no regulations for those. What was the name? It sounded like the fucking guy with the EpiPens.
I don't know. Oh, Martin Shkreli?
Yeah. He did the same thing, right? Where he's just like jacked up the price of EpiPens by like 500%.
Yeah, a lot of medicine manufacturers do that
Yeah.
for like random medication, or like I think diabetes medication became wildly expensive as well, and people are selling it. Anyways, yeah, that's a scam.
So who is being scammed in this situation?
The insurance companies, or the insurance companies and the government.
Well, it's almost like Coke is $1 at every bodega, right? And then you go to a bodega. So let's assume because of the way a hospital visit works, you don't generally pay before. They don't tell you the price. You know what? I had to get a medical procedure this week. I had to get like a scan, a full body scan. They put in
Oh, is this show about scans?
yeah. You got scanned.
Yeah.
And I asked them because I wanted to know what it would cost. And I said, "What does this cost?" And they said, "Oh, we don't know." And I said, "I'm literally about to do the fucking thing. You don't know what it costs?"
Yeah.
And they said, "No." And I said, "Will my insurance cover it?" And they're like, "Yeah, we don't know. I mean, they approved you for it, but we don't know how much they're going to cover or what the rate that the insurance gets."
Oh, yeah.
So because of the way that medicine works in our country, you don't even know what you're getting into. And then on the other hand, you have a doctor being like, "You got to do this or you're going to die."
Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's already fucked up,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Sounds
But
coercive.
beyond that, so let's say there's like a standard practice. There's a standard price pretty much across the board for most things. So you're used to doing something like a COVID test. I've had a bunch of them. I don't know about you. So you're like, okay, well, this is free for me. Or if you pay out of pocket, it's like $50 or something like that, right? I don't know how much. All of a sudden you go to a place. So it's like the analogy I was trying to use is like, I buy a lot of soda water, right? I get Schweppes. It's $1 a can everywhere I go. Sometimes it's $1.25, and I don't like those bodegas.
Yeah.
I find it infuriating, but you get it, and I give the guy $1 and I drink it. But what if I drank it first and then I had to pay, right? Okay, great. I'm used to it being $1 everywhere, and then you go to this place, you drink your soda water, and you're like, okay, let me pay for it, and they're like, it's $500. Then you're like, well, what the fuck? How come you guys decide to charge $500? And they're like, hey, it's a business. We can charge whatever we want. It's like, yeah, I guess so, but it's also,
Oh, yeah. That
you're-
doesn't
you're-
sound
you're-
ideal.
You're taking advantage of, people's kind of goodwill by going in there. I mean, I know you can set whatever price you want, and people kind of do it with restaurants, like you can get a meal for $10 or $5.
By the way, how did
then whatever restaurant can charge $1,000 if they want to.
What happened with the scan? How much was it? How much did it end up being?
What? Oh,
Your-
the hospital visit?
Yeah.
I don't know. They said if I paid out of pocket, it would be $500, but my
man.
insurance will probably get a cheaper price, and they'll probably pay for part of it. So I would expect it to be like $100 or $200, maybe.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, when I got my tooth fixed.
It was $500.
Yeah, but I didn't know till I got up and had to pay.
of course.
And I thought it was gonna be I was actually
Yeah.
relieved. Thought I was gonna get super fleeced.
Yeah, and how insane is it that they can fucking do a thing on you, and then you don't even know the price, and they won't tell you the price, but they tell you if you don't get it, you're fucked.
Here's what I'd like to do is, when I do comedy and I go around the country performing, and usually...
Thanks for the reminder.
Thank you so much.
I know we've strayed far from the light.
I'm a comedian, and I'm not getting paid for this, so this isn't comedy. But
if you play your cards right, we will play you in cards after
Oh,
this.
thank you. If I perform at a comedy club, and sometimes it's just like here's a flat amount that you get.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're like if more people come,
Yeah, the
then
bonus.
there's bonuses. Sometimes it's like a straight door deal.
Yeah.
Sometimes whatever it is. And so imagine if like there's one particular show I did a week or two ago that everybody in the audience was like the drunkest that they'd
Yeah.
ever been at and like one couple got removed, and then everybody else was like pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it actually ended up being like a really fun show, but it was like more, attention, more work. If I was like,
Yeah.
at the people left that show, I feel like that would be a situation where it'd be like, you guys have to pay a little more for this because
sure.
you
Yeah.
got.
There's an asshole tax.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's
I'm
great.
sorry, you guys are assholes.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to.
Yeah.
And so similarly, like I don't know what's going on in the medical industry. I'm certainly not an expert by any means, but I'm aware that they
so
don't know exactly what's going to happen
Yeah.
going in. They're like, wow, like we thought that it would be this, but it actually turned out to be this. But it is kind of like a weird gambling thing.
Okay, you're
So
just.
I was going to
okay, so
charge you. I was
you're-
going to charge you this amount, but you heckled me the whole time during the
Yeah.
surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tickets. So they should just put a hold on. So
Yeah.
tickets instead of being $30, it's a hold of free even if you participate, like somehow you
Give
come on
us your-
stage
Oh
and
my
you really
God.
add to the
Give
show.
us your
Free
credit card
to
number.
200, and
Yeah.
then we'll decide how good of an audience member
Give
you were and how much.
Give
a
us
card.
your credit card number, and then
Yeah.
we'll charge you however
Yeah.
much we feel you need as an audience member.
Here's
afterwards.
a real thing. I'm gonna talk
Yeah.
to Steve Hofstetter
Yeah.
had a show once that I thought it was really cool. That I think it was like the Laugh Factory in L.A. That like the first some number of tickets, like 10 tickets or something,
Yeah.
$1.
Yeah.
And then the next one's like $5,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
two, $5, and then like if you got it motivated people to get them
Yeah.
quick
Tiered
and
ticketing.
still
Yeah.
like worst case you're paying $15, $20,
Yeah.
a normal price for a show. So like that. But depending, like with merit based
Yeah.
on people at the show, you're like, some people here are going to end up paying only $1. Some
Yeah.
people, so you better be the best audience member,
Right.
And
Yeah.
then,
There's
man,
a motivation.
I think that's fun.
I think all you have to do is fucking put a $200 hold on every member's credit card and be like, if you get kicked out, it's $200,
Ha!
and that's it. So fucking, they'll be like, hey, if you talk again, you're gonna get kicked out, and then
There's so many different like incentive things to
Yeah.
like get like
That's-
control people
okay,
with like
listen,
ticket sales.
you need
and stuff.
collateral. How about a show with collateral? So if you want to watch us do comedy, we
Yeah.
need your daughter,
Yeah.
and we're gonna hold a gun to her head.
Whoa,
and
whoa,
if you
whoa.
heckle,
Now,
then it's fucking lights out.
I liked
That's,
where you were
that's-
going up until a little while ago,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I like the collateral thing, but that sounds more like a hostage situation.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
High stakes, and I bet you they'll laugh, man.
Yeah.
I bet you they'll have a good time.
The show was like, all right, but I got
Yeah.
my daughter's
Yeah,
ear in the
it's-
mail.
It's like we survived, so
Yeah.
it was pretty good. We survived. Yeah,
Oh, shit.
I'm a fan of people surviving.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, I had that, and then I don't know. This is very dirty. I don't know if you're into dirty.
I mean, let's find out what it is.
Dirty.
I wouldn't say just offhand that I do or don't like dirty things. It depends
Is this
on the
okay? It's
specifics.
about circumcision. You're not gonna. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
hold on here,
Yeah.
Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
To my
don't know.
foreskin. Yeah.
So I read. I spend a lot of time on the internet, and I find certain things. Here's a personal I found on Impreg Personals, r/Impreg Personals on Reddit.
I don't know what that means.
It's
About impregnation?
yeah, people want to get pregnant.
Okay.
It's personals, and it's posted by Looking for Donor.
Wow.
And
Okay.
it says, I really want kids, but not my husband. Female, 23 years old. Tagged as Impreg discussion. Right. So I love my husband, but he's not exactly the picture of masculinity. He's doughy and weak-chinned and balding, and I don't want any of that for my kids.
Oh.
I was thinking I could find a guy that had enough in common with him that he wouldn't question that they're his. Like he's a redhead, so I figured I should find a big muscle redhead to impregnate me. And regularly when we want another kid. Is that really that wrong? I just want the best for my kids. Any tips? And then
She has the kid. It's a black dude with red hair.
Yeah, exactly. And then all the comments are just people just fucking telling her she's a terrible person. What are our thoughts on this?
I mean, if I were advising her, I would advise her to not do what she's thinking about doing
Yeah.
for
The
sure.
thing is, she knows she's doing it though. You know, like being like, "Hey, don't do." I'm sure if she ran it by anyone, they already
Yeah.
said that. No one said this is a good idea.
Right.
To her. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many people she's coming to the internet
Yeah.
for this. Like, I'm saying, if
She's
she
saying,
were talking
I
to
want
me,
a musclehead redhead to just come get me pregnant and then leave, but I might need you again.
I guess I would share that, like, eventually, like, you might need like medical records from
Yeah.
that person. Like, if your husband was like, I'm gonna be a donor,
Yeah.
but if our kid needs a kidney, or
Yeah.
I'm gonna need the kid's kidney,
Right.
like, there's a lot of things that this person has not considered that I would
Right.
try to get across. Like, this won't work.
Yeah.
Like, Also, is this considered? Is she gonna do it old school? Like fuck the guy? Or,
Yeah, I think that's
Or
the-
is it gonna be like, give me a vial of your?
It sounds like
cum.
she's gonna fuck the. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
you know,
How
it's
about
it's
adoption?
It's a personal ad. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot that. Yeah, just adopt a kid.
Right.
Adopt a strong child.
Yeah.
A strong redhead, but she wants to know. That's the
Even-
thing. There's things you don't know about a child unless you know the parents, right? Like, I mean, I don't know
Well,
how genetic.
I think it would be better for her to not have
Yeah.
her own child.
Yeah,
Right.
and
Yeah.
there's also adoption agencies that give you a medical background of the kid
Yeah,
you're
but
adopting.
we've been over those. You can fake them. You know how much time I donate. I donate
Yeah.
to sperm clinics all the time. I just put on a mustache and
Yeah.
Well, I would-
tell them I went to Harvard.
This guy had big glasses, a big nose, and a
I
mustache.
removed my butt plugs, and I'm like, right on there, no butt plugs.
Yeah.
Right?
I would rather, if I'm raising a child,
Like, why are there butt plugs in your hand?
I would rather we'll get to that later. I would rather have a child that is a random distribution of parents that I don't know than this woman and the redhead she finds that will go go along with this.
Okay.
That's
all
true.
right.
Yeah, you wouldn't trade any DNA for the person who's writing this.
No, yeah, he's saying
article.
he doesn't want that woman's DNA to
Yeah.
move forward. Okay, so then there's more. People were yelling at her in the comments, and they
Sure.
said, "How dare you betray your husband like this?"
Mhm.
And then she wrote, "Why do you think it's a betrayal?" And it turns out that it was just kind of poorly written, and he's okay with it. He's okay with it. She just said, like, I mean, if you reread it,
That's fantastic.
if you reread it, hold on, she goes,
Well, that takes away some of my concerns that he wouldn't know if they get the genetic information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking I could find a guy that had enough in common that he wouldn't question that they're his. So I think what she means is
that-
he's not going to look at them and be like, fuck, that's not my kid.
Yeah.
He wants the suspension of disbelief that they're like, this is my
the
kid.
lie
It's just
is
a better version.
Yeah. The lie is not inherently like in the.
It's not dishonest.
actual
Or she
post,
could do it like the way
Yeah.
that, sometimes when they have a firing squad, nobody knows
Yeah.
who actually delivered
Yeah.
the killing bullet.
She
This
could have
way,
6
yeah.
muscular redheads gangbanger while her husband's
Yeah,
sitting there not contributing with his garbage DNA.
Yeah.
And then he just raises it. It's
I mean,
perfect.
but,
he sounds like the nicest guy, and she should take his
really?
DNA.
Does he? Or is this
He sounds
guy-
like he's a loving
Also,
husband.
imagine like,
She wrote
she's
this.
typing this up and he's reading it. and
Yeah.
He's like, weak chin, balding, doughy. What the fuck, sweetie? You have to put that in.
Well, I mean,
It's like, no, they need to know why.
imagine how low your self-esteem must be if you're like, I want to raise kids, but just my DNA is no good.
Yeah.
That's
I
you're
wanna
in
have,
trouble.
I want to have kids, but my redheaded, tiny dick, useless husband is no good.
Right.
I would definitely, if
And he's cool with this. Yeah.
If he were asking me for advice, I would advise him differently than I'm advising
What would you
her.
tell him?
I mean, I would ask him some more questions about how he feels
Yeah.
truly about this situation and the relationship,
Yeah.
and for her, but. If we're taking at face value everything that she's saying,
Yeah.
that he is on board with this,
Yeah.
then go ahead.
Meanwhile,
Yeah.
he's writing an article right now. Also, he's like looking to impregnate a woman who wasn't fat and like flat chested and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, real. He's like looking for someone who's into annoying bitches.
Yeah.
Right? Who post on Reddit behind your back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
I read a lot of advice columns and I listen to a lot of advice podcasts.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
yeah.
I know there's so many more, and so, like Reddit is so full of
Yeah.
am I the asshole kind of stuff.
yeah.
But like I can't go too deep into everything. Like
Yeah.
I have the ones that I love, but I love thinking about stuff like that.
Yeah.
I love thinking about if people ask me what they should do, what I would tell them to do.
Listen, I understand that if it's sure, it is fun, but if I understand that if all parties consent then it's above board in theory, but it's also like, why are you consenting to this? Why is your self-esteem if he said I have a history of like heart disorders and cancer and I just don't want to have like a sick kid, that makes sense, but it's like purely these aesthetic reasons that it's like, dude, what's wrong with your fucking self-esteem?
We need to see a picture of this guy.
Yeah, he looks like Dan.
Because
It's just a
I'm
picture.
not fucking redheaded and bald.
Yeah.
Also, she might want to be made aware that it's not just genetics that determine how a child's going to turn out.
Right.
Like if you're like, it's been said that I think the 5 people that you spend the most time around,
Just don't nurture him to be a fat bald redhead.
I mean, well, but that's impossible.
Yeah.
If the balding perhaps, but like the size, that you are based on how much food you eat. Like some of it is genetic and some of it is nurtured. So
Right.
if a father if he has unhealthy eating
Yeah.
habits, then the child might very well also have unhealthy eating
Right.
habits.
But
I'm
then-
also looking for another man to raise this kid.
Oh, how funny was it if they get like a star athlete, but it's just their shitty diet and lifestyle? They get like a star athlete's genetics. They get his calm and they have a baby, and then he just grows up to be fat and bald anyways because they just fucking eat horribly
And just to be clear, also
and microwave their head or whatever.
this guy might be the healthiest fat person that there is.
Yeah.
It is, possible to be healthy at any size, and so there's no reason to assume, based on what we have here, that he is an unhealthy fat person as well.
Yeah.
I want to add.
Sure, yeah.
Meanwhile,
I
this
mean,
is clearly a sexless couple. They're not attracted to
I don't
each
know.
other.
She
at
might
all.
be. She might be into him. Why else would they stay together if they don't
But
want
if
to have
she's
kids?
but if she's into him,
yeah.
then why not have then you wouldn't have such an issue that you're like, I can't raise. I don't want to look at him if he's my
no,
kid. Yeah.
it sounds like it almost sounds like it's the guy's issue where he's like, look, I've had a hard life because of X, Y, and Z. what was it, like chinless, pudgy, balding, and he's
Balding,
like,
redhead.
I just don't want my kid to go through the same thing. Redhead, yeah, those 4. So it's like, could we find? I mean, he wants to keep redhead.
Well, now there's a lot of information that we don't have all the information.
Meanwhile,
and so
you could get a
we're-
better.
Yeah.
You better get an idea of what you're getting if you adopt. But for
Yeah.
some reason,
you
there's a scenario where she's got to get nailed in this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, you think it's you think it's all just she's just like, I gotta find a way to get banged.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
she doesn't want to be open or poly, so
Yeah.
she's like,
She's
you don't
secretly-
have the best genetic makeup.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is her way of talking the guy
Oh, yeah.
into it.
She meets the guy. She's like, put a condom on. We don't. This is all a scam. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's all a scam.
It's all
Yeah.
a scam.
We
yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
We did it.
All right, we did it. Thank you very much to this week's guest, Myq Kaplan.
Oh, thank
Yep.
you for having me.
Where can they find you? If they...
Oh, you can find me at myqkaplan.com / all the places that, MyQ Kaplan across social media. I have a couple podcasts called Broccoli and Ice Cream and The Faucet. I've got a newsletter at myqkaplan.substack.com. And mostly I'm a comedian, so my albums exist. My most recent one's called AKA. And then there's a bunch of other ones that I would say listen to. Listen to my comedy.
Yeah, check out Myq. Very funny. Thanks so much for
Oh
being
yeah,
here.
it's just like this, except these guys aren't here.
Yeah, unfortunately. So
And it's planned. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if this is all that you want. Then do keep listening to this podcast.
we should do an hour
But
together,
it is.
Myq.
But it is all about Doogie Howser. That's it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Daniel Lewis Veza. Follow me at Daniel Lewis Veza on Instagram.
And I'm at Santiago is Dead, and you can find all my links there. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you at the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.